What's up, guys? It's Andrew and Ben here and John Claude for preseason week 2 DFS breakdown. So, we actually did a 35-minute recording before this, and it was echoing. So, we are here to bring you the best content possible. It might just be a little shorter.
Yeah. It's going to be the same information.
Just quick. Just we're going to run through it quicker, but just know all the plays are heavily researched. And we bring as much analysis as we're going to. But at the end of the video, we'll talk about things like that are coming soon in the near future. We'll do it at the end instead of the beginning. Mix it up a little bit, get a little crazy. But let's jump right into the slate and talk about quarterbacks. Favorite play, go.
Brett Hundley for Arizona.
Nice. All right. So.
Wow. How about a little bit? Yeah. Kyler, they said that they're going to play a little bit, more than one drive, but we don't think that'll be a ton more than one drive. Maybe a quarter, maybe just a little over that. The other two quarterbacks on that team combined to throw 11 passes. They don't think they're very much. They don't really care about them, I don't think. At least Brett Hundley for at least a half, if not more than that. I expect it'll be a little bit more than a half of football. He did pretty well last time. He gives you some rushing upside. Some decent wide receivers on that second team. I think we'll go into a couple of them later. I think Brett Hundley is one of my top plays.
Yep. I think he's also a solid play. My favorite play on the slate is Cody Kessler. So he is the quarterback for the Eagles. Carson Wentz is out. We can only assume. He said that he doesn't think he needs to play the preseason. I don't think the coaches thinks he needs to either. They're trying to keep him healthy. Sudfeld's out because he had some fracture on his wrist or something, needs surgery.
He's in a sling right now. He's going to miss the first 3 weeks of regular season, too.
Yeah, so it should just be Kessler in this game for at least a half, probably 3/4. They want to see that he's the backup who can provide for them, like a family.
That was a weird way of putting it.
It was. But they need him to be able to be that next guy up in case Wentz does go down. They can't just be screwed. They need that big dick Nick energy. So, sorry for cursing on this podcast. Anyway, so we like Kessler here a lot. We think the volume's there. It's just a matter on how he performs. But I think he'll be the best play on the slate.
Yeah, he's going to get the most volume, I think, out of any quarterback. He might even play the whole game, but I expect the worst will come in for the last quarter or so. Moving on. I know this guy didn't pan out too well last week. He didn't look amazing, but I'm going to go back to Trace McSorley. Lamar ended up playing the whole first quarter. I don't expect him to play a ton more than that this week. If he does play a whole half, and we know that going in, that might be a fun little play to get on, a starting quarterback for the Ravens and playing Lamar. But assuming he only plays a quarter, maybe a quarter and a drive or so, Trace should see again most of the time. Joe Callahan only threw 4 passes last week. He was really just in to hand the ball off at the end of the game. They need to see Trace do better than he did last week. He gives you, again, a little bit of rushing upside. I expect he'll see a little bit more time with some better offensive linemen, so hopefully not running for his life the entire game that he's in. And I expect him to do a little bit better, hopefully throw a couple touchdowns here, maybe run one in. So I think a guy to also mix in a little bit, but I think the first 2 guys will focus more on our lineups.
And the last 2 that I'm going to throw in would be the Redskins quarterbacks, which are Haskins and Keenum. This is if Colt McCoy is out. They should both be seeing a half of action. They're both, again, volume plays. Haskins obviously didn't have too good of a week. He threw 2 picks. One was a terrible pick 6. Didn't look hot. Yeah, really bad. So they would just be volume plays. If Haskins is going to play like 3 quarters, Keenum playing 1 quarter because Keenum's going to be the starter probably, then I'd go Haskins.
Colt's the starter right now.
Yeah.
According to the depth chart. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure how deep his injury is. It says it's a foot injury, but
I don't know what they're doing anyway. They signed Case Keenum and draft a first-round quarterback.
Yeah. So who knows? So we'll see how the timeshare works out, and that'll be part of one of our tweets that we tweet out probably. But I would like to put at least one of them mixed in the lineups because the volume's going to be there for one of them, if not both of them, for halves.
Yeah.
So with a slate where the quarterback scenarios aren't great, like since he's got a little mix of quarterbacks, like every team has 3 or 4 quarterbacks that are going to be mixed in, except for the teams who we just shared. So we think that those are the best guys to bring you the volume and be able to get the most points.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Let's just move around to running backs. I'll start off with Dexter Williams. So Aaron Jones just returning to 11-11 drills. Dexter's looks really good. He had 14 carries last game, got like 60-some yards. not a bad return. But he should be the starter as of now. He was the guy who was doing the early work last game, so with him starting under Rogers' belt, I think I would see a lot of like possible dump offs to him if people aren't open downfield. I feel like the passing game will be pretty strong in that first quarter with the Packers starters, and I think that he'll go pretty deep in this game. Probably see the first half, and maybe a little bit into the third quarter, but I think for the most part, it'll be the first half. It'll be his show. And if he goes in the third quarter, Trey Carson will be mixed in. But I think we'll see a lot of him, and he's just a good running back. He apparently has great hands. That's what the coaches are saying. So he's a guy who I like to see on the slate.
Yeah, just something to point out. The Packers are one of the first teams to announce sort of their plan. And Matt LaFleur has said that he is going to play the offense for pretty much the first quarter, maybe a little bit over that, but the first quarter is what Rodgers and the starters are really going to see. So you can pencil that in for 3 drives, maybe 2 or 3 drives. So not a ton. Dexter Williams is a guy that should leak in again throughout that first half. But yeah, that's helpful knowing sort of what we're going to see out of the Packers starters, I think, which is nice to know on a Tuesday night here. So I'll jump into one of my plays. I'm just going to keep throwing him at you guys until he stops providing fantasy points, and that's Brian Hill. He hasn't stopped yet, and we've seen him in 2 games be the best running back Atlanta has. Devontae Freeman, might see a few carries here, but health is his biggest concern. He's a good running back when he's healthy, but he just never really puts together a full season because of health. So I really don't think they're going to put him in harm's way. The real race is for that number 2 running back spot. Kenyon Barner, they already know, is going to be the third down back. So it's really between Ito and Brian Hill. Brian Hill got 11 carries to Ito's 3 last week. I expect that to even out a little bit this week. Maybe they just think Ito is better as of now. Maybe he shows more in camp. But from what I see and all accounts that I read, Brian Hill is the better running back. And I think even at 3 less carries, maybe he catches a few more balls. He's gotten in the end zone both games so far. So hoping that continues. But he's looked really good and looking to claim that number 2 running back spot. We talked about Quadri Olison in the first week. He's kind of fallen way off. He's not in the running anymore. And Tony Brooks-James really just hasn't played at all. So they already had a shortened running back roster. Cut 2 guys out of that. Cut Freeman out of it. Barner's the third down back. You're looking at 2 guys for a lot of the game. So I think Ito will get some carries here, but I think Brian Hill will get close to double-digit carries again, hopefully fall in the end zone and catch a few balls.
Yeah, he's definitely a great play. Go ahead and just jump to your next guy.
Sure. So my next one's going to be Byron Marshall for Washington. So looking at their running back roster, you see Geis, he's not going to play. Adrian Peterson, I'll be surprised if he plays, and if he does, it won't be for very much. Chris Thompson is a guy they love, but they don't love him to be running the ball. They like him out of the backfield, third down back. So not someone we need to concern ourselves with here. They don't want to get him hurt either. So then you're looking again at Samaje Perine and Byron Marshall. They also have Bryce Love, who is out. So then, you're looking at Perine and Marshall. They're fighting for that 4th running back spot, which is what most teams carry on their roster. So fighting for a position. I never like Perine as a running back. Most people tend to outplay him. I believe Byron Marshall will outplay him just like he did last week. They pretty much split drives last week. So Byron would get a whole drive, and then Perine would come in and get a whole drive. Byron's just a better running back. I expect him to do the same thing. I think the Redskins will do a similar plan with the running back rotation this week. So I'm on Byron Marshall here, as opposed to Perine in the Washington backfield.
I completely agree.
You want me to just go?
Yeah, go ahead and finish it off.
Yeah. So my last one here is going to be DeAndre Washington, a guy who had a nice week last week. Josh Jacobs is their rookie running back sensation, 3 down back, can do it all. They can't have him get hurt. Doug Martin is there. I don't imagine he'll see a ton of time. So you're looking at Washington again getting a bulk of the carries, most likely in that first half, maybe even 3 quarters. I expect him to do pretty well again against second-string defenders for most of that time. So I think he'll be a solid play. Probably, if I had to rank 3rd, he'd be my 3rd that I've said, but I think a guy you can definitely mix in.
Yeah, I like that play too. And then the last play that I'll have is Jordan Ellis. So he is the running back for the Bengals. They said that Mixon and Bernard are going to play in this game. But Williams, who was supposed to be a big factor last week, Trayvon Williams, he is going to be out most likely. Well, I'm not sure about Al, but he got bruised ribs, so he won't be seen too much, if anything. And I think that they'll try and keep him away because he did look good at the beginning. That leaves Jordan Ellis, who got 6 or 7 catches in this last game, so he's a big threat receiving out of the backfield. If they go down in this game and he's playing the whole second half, that could mean a lot of catches for him. If Jeff Driscoll or whoever is going to be out there, Ryan Finley, are going to be thrown to him, he could be a really good option. So he's got to sprinkle in, and maybe also Miles Sanders. He's the guy who is competing with Jordan Howard for the starting spot in Philly. He's moved ahead of Corey Clement and Wendell Smallwood. So really, he's a guy who they like. That's what kind of scares me too, is that they did running back at committee last game, and he only saw like 4 or 5 carries. So he's definitely a guy who can stand out and get in the end zone, which makes him an interesting GPP play. But he's definitely not the safest option.
No, and people tend to like him. Anyway, he has a lot of hype kind of built up around him. Yeah. But someone to mix in, I think, could provide some upside. If we find out more about the Philly backfield situation, we could lead to some value. But as of now, we're not too sure how that's going to pan out.
Nope.
Also, did you say Sprinkle?
I did.
We're not playing Jeremy. You want to play Jeremy Sprinkle?
You could play Jeremy Sprinkle. I'm not saying to do it, but
I'm not going to say you should play Jeremy Sprinkle.
If you want their Jeremy Sprinkle lineup, he ends up in the end zone. Thank us.
He's not going to.
He's not going to. Let's move on to receiver. I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna say 2. You'll say 2. I'll say 2, and you say 1. We'll do that. Okay.
Sure. I followed that.
2 for me are J.J. Nelson and Miles Boykin. So J.J. Nelson is obviously a veteran in the league, played for the Cardinals, now playing for the Raiders this year, playing against the Cardinals this week. We love the narrative. Little revenge game for him. I don't know how much revenge it would be. I don't think he's got beef with the team, but who knows? You never know. So he's just a talented guy. He made a really good catch last week. You can look up the play if you Google his name or look it up on Twitter, like catch preseason week 1, you'll find it. But he's a guy next to Ryan Grant, Marcel Aitman, who kind of saw more of a run in that first game than I thought they would. I guess they are not considered Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams level. They're probably right below him in John Gruden's eyes, and they're like, we'll throw him out there. This week I see them going a half with those guys mixed into the first quarter, but then definitely seeing the second quarter, them being the bulk of the receiving options. So I think J.J. Nelson's the most talented guy out of those 3 to see some playing time. I'm so sorry about Hunter Renfrow. He did not play at all because apparently he's too good, and they love him there. So
you now love Hunter Renfrow.
Well, now I don't. That's for sure. And then the next play would be Miles Boykin, like I said. So he got 9 targets last week for the Ravens. He had 4 catches, I think for 40-some yards, something pretty good. And they like the way he looks. He had a few drops, but that's really okay. The 9 targets is what we care about. And he played a pretty good amount of the first half. So that's something that we're going to look for in this game. And he should get a good run.
He played more than the first half. He also had a touchdown called back. A guy that Trace looks to, a guy that is going to have to step up. I think Seth Roberts might not even play in this game. So someone that's going to have to step up and be sort of that 3rd, 4th receiving option in the regular season. They need to get his confidence up. I expect to see him kind of force-fed again here in this game. He's a guy that's big. He gets open. So quarterbacks love him. He just needs to convert those into some longer plays maybe and make sure he catches the ball when it comes his way. But again, those 9 targets are incredible, and they were all, I think 8 of the 9 of them were probably passes he could have caught, maybe 7 out of 9. So a couple drops, but again, I think they need him to get his confidence up. And I just chalked that up to first game jitters. He was also awesome in college, so I think he'll be fine. Another really solid play there at receiver. So I'll go with 2 now. First one I'm going to lead off with is Jake Kumaro for Green Bay. So like we said, starters are going to see the first quarter, and then they're going to filter through their other guys after that. Kumaro is one of those guys that could see a little bit with the starters, so that's what I like about him. He'll come in and spell someone when they're tired, if they're going on a long drive or something like that. Maybe get a few catches with Rodgers. It's always good to have the best quarterback possible throwing you the ball. And then he's going to play with that second team still. So play for most of the first half, maybe leak a little bit into that third quarter time. Who knows after that? But I think he's a guy that he's kind of a slot guy. He gets open, short to intermediate routes. So you got to look for. I think he had 4 targets last week. So something nice, someone that they like. So he should be a part of their team. And he should see some run here in this second preseason game as they try to figure out sort of more of the ranking and who's going to make the team. So he's one that I really like. The other one is Keyshawn Johnson. I know we gave him out last week. But he's, again, someone that came in, I think, on their second drive, or he might have even played with Kyler in that first drive for a few plays. Whatever the case, he came in really early. As we already talked about, Huntley's a solid play, which would mean that I think he's a decent quarterback. Again, someone that can get Keyshawn the ball. Another go-getter, a guy that likes to go get the ball. He should see the whole first half, maybe even the first three quarters. Hopefully they give him a few more targets this week that he can convert, and I think he'll be a really solid, again play here.
Yeah, I think so too. Then along with him, there's no receiver for Arizona, and that is Sherfield. So he's the guy who you saw early getting a lot of looks his way from Kyler Murray. They must have a connection they built in camp. But he just has good route running, good hands, good speed, and he played past when Kyler Murray came out of the game, so he played, I think, pretty decently into the second quarter. I should see him getting the whole half also this game, maybe even more. He's just another guy to look at when you're looking at receivers. And then the last one for me is Russell Gage. So in that first Hall of Fame game, we saw that Russell Gage was a lot more involved than we thought in this offense, and that was only in that game. And then in the first week of preseason, so technically their second game, we saw him starting and then playing into the whole first half. So I can only imagine what he's going to do in this game. He could play 3 quarters, maybe even all 4. So we could see a lot out of Russell Gage. He's a guy who has experience in this offense. He works with the first and second team, and I just expect him to see live action and be able to get some points.
Yeah, I would agree. Going off of Sherfield a little bit, Kyler threw a lot of checkdowns last week. So it seemed, I didn't watch the game, but from play-by-play and whatnot, I could see seemed like Sherfield was that guy that he looked to in those underneath routes. I don't think that'll change a lot, but for Keyshawn's sake, I think Kyler will look downfield a little bit more this week, and then obviously both these guys are going to be solidly into that second team with Hundley, so I think they can both work out.
You could even try a little stack with Hundley. That could be a little crazy.
Yeah, a little bit of a regular season sort of try there. It's technique, a little strategy with a stack.
But preseason stacks aren't the way to go usually. So
typically, yeah, but I think they could work out.
This looks like a good opportunity.
Yeah. I'm going to go to my last guy here. You said all 4 years, right?
Yep.
Okay, yep. The last receiver we'll mention here is Josh Malone for the Bengals. So a guy that we've seen a few times before. I want to say it's his third year-ish, second year. But anyway, he's got some decent talent. I believe he saw, again, something like 4 targets last week. Converted, I believe, 3 of them. Looked pretty good. So one of those guys, again, you're going to see sort of mixing in. He's that 4th, 5th type, 6th type receiver. Obviously, no A.J. Green. And A.J. Green might not even play the first 3 or 4 weeks. So a guy that could really look to, try to jump into the starting role in those first 4 weeks and make a name for himself, but it has to start here. A guy that should see, again, we're talking about a lot of volume here, a lot of time in the offense in the first half at least. So a guy that you could play in a few different lineups and hopefully cash in with him.
Yeah, I think he's interesting. I think he'll be definitely less owned than a lot of the other guys on this slate. No guy should be high owned, like super high owned.
I don't care too much about preseason ownership, but
but he could be the guy who definitely elevates your team if he goes off.
Yeah.
Let's just go right into tight ends. I know we don't have too many, but I think we got some solid ones. You can start us off.
Yeah. So talking about the Ravens here and their tight ends, but when we looked at it, we thought that the Ravens wouldn't play very many of their top tight ends, as Andrews and Hurst were both draft picks last year. Hurst was a first rounder, and then Boyle's been on the team for a while. And Mark Andrews caught a pass with about 30 seconds left in the first half. I know he filtered in and out of that time, but he was continuing to play the entire first half. I can only imagine that's going to continue. He only had 2 catches last week, but Lamar was sort of looking to the outside, trying to kind of prove what he can do, show off his new sort of technique with passing, work with some of the receivers. I expect him to sort of do more of what this offense might look like in the regular season, which is going to be a lot of tight ends, stuff like that. So Mark Andrews loves those seam routes. He catches everything, and he's very athletic after the catch on the run. So I really like him for 4, 5, or 6 targets, and he will probably convert most of those. So I expect him to maybe go 4 catches for 50 yards and hopefully a touchdown. But even without the touchdown, I think he'll do just fine. Hurst is a guy I might look into as well. He's caught some touchdowns in the preseason as well as the regular season. Awesome hands, just not quite as athletic as Andrews, but another guy I think we will see for most of the first half, if not all of it, and then maybe even a little bit more. So if you think it'd be funny, just go play Nick Boyle and he'll have 4 touchdowns,
Probably.
which would be just fantastic.
He is a guy who the Ravens have for blocking.
Blocking
So,
more, yeah.
Of course, he'll catch 3. Anyway,
Yeah.
those are both great options. I think Mark Andrews is going to be the bulk of my lineups this week, but Nick Vannett was in all my lineups the other week, so
Yeah, well.
that was less of a read than we have with Mark Andrews. This is a pretty good read in both our opinions. But then the last guy that I have, because I had Mark Andrews too, I also have Jimmy Graham. So this is if he plays the quarter, so I need to make sure that he is in with those starters who are going to play quarter, if you're going to play Jimmy Graham. But a fun thing about him that you'll see if you click on him on DraftKings is it said in 2016 2017 he was targeted in the red zone 47 times, and in 2018 he was targeted just 9 times. So Matt LaFleur said he wants to go back to those targets in the red zone and get him a lot of the bulk there because they know that he can perform, even though we've played him a lot of times, seen a lot of drops in the red zone, but against these the Ravens defense, as you were telling me earlier, they have not been the best against tight ends. If you want to speak a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought C.J. Mosley was a great cover guy. So sorry to you Jets fans now who just paid $55 million for him. He was an awesome linebacker. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's awesome, but he always seemed like he was a step late coverage. So the Ravens were never good at tight end coverage because he sort of had a lot of that responsibility. We'll see how the younger, faster linebackers do against tight ends. We haven't seen a lot of them do it. Wasu played a little bit last year, but I don't know exactly how he was in coverage. So him and Kenny Young and Chris Board filtering in at linebacker against tight ends. We'll see. But Jimmy Graham is a beast. If they look his way, which I think Rodgers will a little bit, he should catch some passes here. Yeah, getting away from that Mike McCarthy play calling will be good for that entire Packers offense.
Definitely.
No doubt. So, yeah. And you're good there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. So then I'll just throw in my last tight end, and it's going to be Drew Sample for the Bengals again. Looking at his last week, he had 3 targets, only converted 1 of those. But a guy that I believe had a target in each of the first 3 quarters shows me he played a lot. When you look at it, they don't need to see C.J. Azuma. Tyler Eifert might break his ankle in the parking lot before he even gets to the game. I love that guy, but man, he just cannot stay on the field either. So I don't think they're going to put him in harm's way by letting him see too much time.
No shot.
So then you kind of go down, and Drew Sample's right there. A guy that should see, like we said, a lot of the time here. Hopefully he converts a few more of his targets this week. But a guy that you can mix in with the GPPs, but definitely not a totally safe option.
Yeah, definitely something with the Bengals is they do like to target their tight ends, and they need somebody to step up to be that next guy in case Tyler Eifert goes down when he will, if he will. So he's definitely a good play and would probably be the next guy up after Mark Andrews for me. So those are 2 really good tight end plays. Real quick, let's just cover defenses. I think the top one for both of us is going to be Philly.
Yep.
Going against Jacksonville.
We saw what Gardner Minshew was last week.
Not good is the answer. And Nick Foles should barely see any time. So it's not looking good for Jacksonville putting up that goose egg.
Yeah, that was rough for their offense in its entirety. It was really bad. Ravens obviously got a pick 6 in there, which boosted their total, but there was a few sacks and whatnot, and obviously 0 points. So.
And there could have been more. Watching that game, there were definitely some drops for interceptions.
Yeah, they had the guy tipped it up in the air and then tried to catch it in one hand. I was like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, it was funny.
But yeah, that'd be the top defense, and then some other ones I'm gonna be considering. Would be the Jets against the Falcons maybe, just because the Falcons Matt Schaub, we just don't like Matt Schaub really, and he'll be playing most of the game per usual. And then I'll throw in the Ravens defense probably because after Rodgers comes out, whenever he comes out after the first quarter, hopefully he doesn't do too much damage. But then we'll have Kaiser, Boyle, and Wilkins, who I think that we can put up some points against. Kaiser makes mistakes, probably throw a pick six against us, who knows. So I don't mind the Ravens play here, but I think it's mainly going to be Philly.
Yeah, Philly was the only one that I wrote down.
Yeah.
So
And
I'll be playing them pretty much across the board.
yeah, prior to this, like last week, for the most part, put the Ravens across the board, threw in a few other defenses. But I usually for preseason stick with one defense who I have the best read on.
Yeah.
And that seems to be Philly.
Yeah.
Another team could get hit 6, fumble 6, even a return touchdown because we don't have that much of read on returners and special teams. But this is what we have to bring you, and Philly seems like the play.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely safe in my eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all for Thursday night slate. As of now, DraftKings doesn't have a Friday or Saturday slate or a Sunday slate. Games are pretty spread out this week. You're looking at 3 games Friday, 5 games Saturday, and then 2 games on Sunday. So a bunch of different small slates. I would have to imagine you'll see at least one more video from us covering one of those slates, as long as the site puts up some contests, some decent contests that we think we have an edge in. And then other than that, we'll be, I think, tweeting. Again, you saw last week Andrew was by himself as I was away on those Friday and Saturday videos. We typically will cover the main slates. The two of us make sure we're available to cover main slates.
Yeah.
But then we are pushing out more content. We want to bring you all the best content possible and the most content possible. So you might see just Andrew, you might see just me. Come regular season time, we're toying with some fun ideas. Potentially doing a live show on Sunday mornings leading up to lock to get those last minute tinkers in, last minute information out. Maybe doing a show earlier in the week about different lines, different over-under, stuff that we like for betting, different ways of making you guys money, and then covering Thursday nights showdowns, covering Monday night showdowns, maybe just one of us taking each. Yep. Something like that, pushing out more content where we're doing almost every possible way you can make money, a way that we can play all the daily fantasy we can, and hopefully take down some of these GPPs throughout the year.
Yeah.
Build our bankroll and build your bankroll.
Yeah, it definitely is something that we love to do, and it helps us too, like building these videos because we do more research and we are mutually benefiting with you guys. So
yeah, definitely.
We are trying to do as much as we can throughout the year, and we are excited for what's to come. Just please make sure that you reach out to us too, because we love to hear from you guys. We love the responses on Twitter when you guys win. We think it's awesome. It made my night the other night hearing that you guys that some people won like hundreds of dollars. So that's what we want. Please just comment and follow us. Like I said, at Draft Thunder DFS. Let us know on there. DM us. And we'd like to know what you think.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow us, do whatever you can. Like we said, we'll be pushing out more content. There's other slates a lot of times that's sort of day of. So, in order to get maybe turn on notifications, whatever it might be to make sure that you don't miss anything that we put out. And if you ever have a question, if we're going to be covering anything, just, let us know. Tweet at us, DM us, comment on something, and just ask if we're going to cover it. We'll be very honest and say, we don't have time for this slate, or, we plan on covering it and look out for a video at this time. Yeah. And if you think there's something fun that we could do to push out different types of content, let us know.
And let us know what you like the ideas that we've said, if you like it or not, if you'd enjoy watching that.
Yeah, specifically on the live show, we would want a lot of viewers in there asking questions and making the show kind of fun and interactive. So if you think a live show would be something you tune into, definitely let us know.
Yeah, please do. So I think that's all we have for this one, but good luck to everybody, and we will hope to see you soon.
Yeah.